We're getting into a power conversation now proper. Engineer Isaac Ndereva is not a stranger to the Situation Room. Are you, Isaac? Good morning.
No, I'm not. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Isaac is the Executive Director of Electricity Consumer Society of Kenya and an electricity billing analyst, because we have problems, Isaac. And we were told things. Promises were made. Hope was raised. In fact, it was even planted. We are yet to harvest the hope. And all we see is shillings and cents disappearing, as well as tokens. So we're having a power conversation this hour. Isaac, karibu sana. Thank you for joining us.
Sanandu.
So, this time last year, Isaac, if you bought power tokens, if you're on a prepaid meter and you bought tokens for 500 shillings, you were getting there about 24.5 units.
Yeah.
This time last year, August last year. This year, you're getting, depending on your regional location, right? Now, right about now, you're docked about 5 of those units. So you're getting about 20.6 units for 500 shillings.
Okay.
What happened? I think that's the first question. What happened? One. I have many more questions. What's going on? Maybe you're just as annoyed as many other Kenyans right now when we were told that power prices were supposed to be dropping and then they went. Okay. What's going on?
Well, first of all, I think the biggest challenge is Kenyans do not understand. Like now you've said that depending on region. It doesn't depend on region. You could actually get your neighbor who is paying, who's getting much more units than you're getting, simply because your consumption might be above 30 units per month. Others are beyond 100 units per month. And that is what defines how much you're going to pay. For example, and I think, I don't know whether this is going to be important to listeners, and I believe it will.
Hold. Sorry, I lied.
Yes.
This time, I just want to, for purposes of clarification, so that we can see just how serious it is, because I've pulled it up here, right?
Yes.
And I took a screenshot of a power purchase from last year, same time, for 500 shillings. We're getting 25.4.
25.4.
Yesterday, as of 1849, 500 shillings bought 15.57.
That's correct.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's now the true picture. Okay. 10 units down in 12 months.
Good. Now, for the purpose of listeners and yourself and City and
Luciela.
Good. Do you have bundles on your phone?
Me?
Yes. And the rest?
Data bundles.
Yes.
Search Steamer Tracker. No. Steamer Tracker. Or it will bring electricity costs in Kenya. And that is something that people do not understand.
Okay.
Keep talking. We can walk and talk. Go ahead.
Steamer Tracker. You'll be able to see that have you seen electricity costs in Kenya? Does it bring something like that?
Yeah.
Click on it. That's supposed to be public information, but not very many people understand that. Now, if you scroll down, you'll be able to see a graph and a table. Have you gotten that?
Yeah.
That table, you'll see either written domestic August 2023 or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, click on domestic. You will see all the tariffs that are there. Now, when you click on the domestic lifeline 30, that is the cheapest. Domestic lifeline 100, capped at 100, that will be just somewhere there, 20-something, 27 or thereabout. When you click on domestic alone, like now what I have done, you will see the cost is 32.53 at the bottom.
That's right? The cost of a unit of
That's the cost of a unit. So if you buy 1,000, divide by that. Those are the tokens you'll be able to get. That is some live website. So never struggle to wonder how much was I charged on this. Now, the challenge is, each person do not understand which tariff am I in until you divide. Now, the biggest problem I have with Kenya Power is not, I'll be able to say why I don't have a big problem with Kenya Power, but right now I'll say, how is a person supposed to tell that am I at domestic 30 or domestic 100 or domestic ordinary? Now, once you tell us that, you then be telling us, I am going to change you because your average for the last 3 months has been beyond this. So you're going to jump from this class to this class. Now, how do they tell people like that? They are supposed to, when you buy your token, they are supposed to say, your cumulative tokens for this month is 28. such that you decide whether you're going to switch off so that you don't jump the band of the more expensive one. You see, that is a decision you can make. So that is one area that Kenyans do not understand.
Just hold on for a second, if you don't mind. Are you telling me that there are classes of consumer or consumption with a power company? Meaning, when I consume a certain amount of power, I belong to one class.
Yes.
If I consume more, I belong to another class. Etc., etc.
And they will keep on calculating every 3 months, so you can be changed.
So how many classes are there?
For the domestic, there are only 3.
Okay, there are 3.
Yes.
So when I change classes, it also means the tariff I pay, what I pay also changes.
Yeah, it changes by
Why?
much.
It goes
It goes higher because you can see, for example.
No, but why?
Because they claim that it has been subsidized by the government. The actual cost of power that has not
Subsidized?
been yes, they say, because the cost of power is 32.53 for this month. Now, anybody paying less, it's because they are hustlers. So the government pays a little bit. For example, if I go to domestic below 100, you see there are people paying 21.94. So at 1,000, they are going to get 50-something units. So please, that is one clarification. And I think it is important for Kenyans to understand.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Let's just take a few steps back so that we can understand what we're doing here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Why should you classify people for power that we are all using? After all, when you put on your light here, it's the same thing as you putting on your light. It is light. If you want to power your iron, whatever, it is the same thing. If you have a fridge, it is the same. Why should you classify people? Why can't we just all have power? You put the thing, you go. Why must it be classified?
Well, one, it's not like the business case where you say you buy more, you get it at a cheaper price because it's wholesale. It's the opposite in Kenya Power. The more you buy, the more you pay. Because they claim that you are an ordinary Kenyan who is able to, I mean, if you are using more than 100 units, it means you have a heater, you have several things, you are trying to live comfortable. So you can make it in life. Those people who can't are supposed to pay less. They are struggling. And so I'm not saying I am defending it. I'm saying according to the explanation that we got.
What sort of logic is that?
It's not logic.
Who decided?
By the way, this thing went through public participation, and that is
when?
It's the same thing they said. When you're asking, I was here when they were doing public participation, and we said that those are the various classes they were trying to distribute and saying we are going to now. We were saying the people who are supposed to be subsidized to this amount were supposed to be less than 100. They now subdivided that we are going to look at even another class which is not going to be beyond 30 units. So they subdivided further. So that is one thing, and I think I am happy because Kenyans got a lot of contribution. Because what you do, you as city, this month you want to get Ndu to go and riot at Kenya Power's place that you got less units. And then she realizes that you are claiming you got 25 units at 1,000. She got 40. So she tells you that maybe your meter has a problem, and so I don't have a problem. The next month, after your average, most likely you're going to get the 40 units, for example, and then she is at war with Kenya Power. Now she's the one who has jumped to getting 25 units. So she tells you that now I have a problem like you had. Then you tell her, now I don't have a problem. It was sorted. So it is that confusion.
Let me ask the question differently.
Yes.
Who benefits from this categorization of power and how much you can buy depending on the power of your purse? Who knows? Who benefits from that?
Now, if you ask Kenya Power, they will tell you it's the citizen who benefits. Who is paying less than the 32 shillings?
So we are all paying. So everybody who pays a little bit more, because that's essentially what's happening.
Yes.
If you receive less units, that means you're paying more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So anybody who pays more essentially is benefiting this hustler, supposedly.
Yes. It's
now,
a subsidy.
what is the percentage of individuals who are paying less for power?
Yeah.
If you take the whole thing into consideration, what's the percentage of those who are paying less?
Good. Thank you. I think that is a very genuine question because it keeps on moving, number one. Because we have realized that you can be consuming more than 100 units. And so you are not supposed to benefit.
In one household?
Now,
It's possible.
Now, more than 100. And I think that is where all of us are. Because you have an instant water heater, you have an iron box.
I don't consume even up to 50 units.
But you don't.
Alone. Yeah.
Then...
but living alone doesn't deter...
No, but it depends how much power she'll use. If she's living alone and maybe all she's powering is a fridge.
Yes.
I don't have the tokens meter. I have the postpaid, and it's problematic because I live alone and I pay a bill of 4,000 every month.
Which is high.
Which is high. You are
Very
still in the
high.
same. The pricing is the same. This is not just for the token. The pricing is the same for postpaid or prepaid. It's no problem. It is the same. But now what you are asking is that in case you start, Ndu starts benefiting because of using less than 100, she will be happy. But most of the people are the ones who are beyond. But now you ask about the category. Assume like you have about, right now I think we are playing around 9 million meters or customers. We call them customers, even though you are like one customer, even if you're with a family, because they count meters. 9 million. And they say over 6 million are benefiting. But we have no way of confirming that because who knows? Because you only know yours. Like now where we are, most likely you're benefiting. You maybe perhaps are not benefiting.
She's not benefiting.
I'm not benefiting.
You are not even benefiting, but you are saying you. But you see, you are between 30 to 50.
Okay.
So you are on the second tariff. But one thing, let me make you understand. From the same table that I had referred you,
yes.
In 1974, we only had consumption from the table that you are seeing there, plus VAT. Consumption plus, in fact, they were calling it government tax. Right now, those were two components. Right now, the price of power have got 8 components. 8.
Yes.
There is consumption, and of course there is VAT. But they introduced 6 more items. And those items are the ones that I want us to establish that they are the ones that affect consumers. That they don't know. They say power is cheaper today. It is now becoming expensive. And I thought we had set a price in April. Why is it becoming more and more expensive? Now, let it be a class. FFI is the first area where I think stealing happens. And it's not stealing as per se. But FFI is fuel cost, forex, and inflation. That is the first thing that I want us to discuss. The second one is WER. And that is WARMA, EPRA, and REP, Rural Electrification Program. So those are the 2 components that maybe we need to dwell on because we can't talk much about the base tariff and then we can't talk much about the VAT.
Why?
Because I think those are just standard. 16% VAT will always be there unless the government decides something else. The base tariff to Kenya Power must always go there. And every time I come here, people think that I defend Kenya Power. But I want to say something. Every time we are changing the price that goes to Kenya Power, we do public participation, whether we like it or not. But at least we set it for a period, be it 3 years. And that is the one I keep on saying. It's supposed to be reviewed after every 3 years. It can be lowered, it can be increased. But now, people lose focus on, and let me say, the Kenya Power cost. Actually, it's justified when it is paid. For example, now, like we are paying 20.97 for the most expensive tariff. You can be able to see, let me just tell you, for domestic, we are paying 20.97. For the other class, for up to that is 12.22. And for the last class is 16.3. Those costs goes to Kenya Power because they use it to buy power from Kenyan and the rest. They use it for their operation and maintenance for themselves. And then for KETRACO, and then rural electrification. Additional to what they get as 5% from our bill, they still get some more money from Kenya Power for operation and maintenance. So Kenya Power's money, if you want to ask anybody about Kenya Power's money, that is what the MD can defend. But now, if you come to all these other 6, which is the FFI and the WER, don't ask him anything about it because he will say that is pass-through cost. I'm normally told by EPRA, the ministry has decided that this is the amount that you need to pass through to the consumers, and then you give us back that money. Now, what is fuel cost charge? We have always talked about it. But now, the problem we have is that is one component that has been used to defraud Kenyans. For example, in August of 2022, when we had the previous government by Uhuru Kenyatta, the fuel cost was 4.63 for 8 months in a row, 4.63, regardless of the generation amount.
Yes.
Immediately after swearing in, that cost jumped.
Swearing in of whom?
Of the current president.
Okay.
Immediately after swearing in, that cost jumped by about 2 shillings to 7. Now, let me tell you the effect of 2 shillings. Kenya generates power of 1 billion units. You're saying you consume about 50 units. He consumed about 100. If you add to all Kenyans and industries and everybody, 1 billion units are generated on average. It will be 1.1, it will be 900, 1 billion. So when you change a cost from 4.63 to 6, that is 2 billion, 1 month. Now, please note, before we came to reduce the cost of, before we came to change the cost of power in April, that cost of fuel, you hear Uhuru Kenyatta had maintained it for 8 months at 4.63. In March of 2023, it had reached 8.2 shillings.
Okay.
How much is how many billions is that?
Wait.
When the new government came in, the fuel cost was 4.63. So immediately after swearing in, that cost came to 6.79. Now, that is a difference of more than 2 shillings, right? So that is 2 billion. Then immediately after that, it came to 7.09. They increased a little bit. By March of 2023, that cost had gone to 8.3. So if you added the FFI, which is the fuel cost, forex, and inflation, the cost was coming to, just during Uhuru Kenyatta's time, it was 5.63. So when the government came in, it was 5.83, sorry. When the new government was sworn in, that cost of the 3 components was pushed to 8.83. So you can see they added 3 shillings. So that is 3 billion. Correct. You are very right. Yeah. Now, from there, they had gone to an extent that by March, the cost of those 3 components was 11.31. 11.31. Now, during the increment they were trying to suggest in April, they knew that we are going to complain. So they decided that for us to allow Kenya Power to increase their amount, let us reduce this cost from 11.31. They brought it to 5.71. And that is the time they brought the cost of fuel cost to they brought it to 3.9. Now, and of course, they brought the cost of forex from 2.16. They dropped it to 0.96. Mind you, the dollar and the euro did not have, becoming 50%, because that is the reduction we got, isn't it? So it is nothing related with dollar exchange rate or anything.
What is it related to?
It is a boardroom decision, just like fuel cost. And they say there is a formula. By the way, there is a formula for calculating that. But even the input, even if you ask the Energy Committee in Parliament, they don't know that formula. Nobody
just
confirms.
Know there's a formula.
Nobody confirms whether that formula is being used. But let me continue and say.
And what's the formula based on?
It's based on the cost of fuel that is being sold to the plants. Then it is also based on the consumption for that plant. And it has a factor of, it has several factors, but only 3 that cannot vary by more than 50%.
Okay.
So that formula, if you use it, there is no way you can divert from 3.9 shillings to 8 shillings. There is no way.
Is it a formula that other people use elsewhere? Is it something that's...
It's a gazetted formula.
It may be gazetted as much as they like.
Is it a globalized, standardized formula?
Thank you.
It is not globalized because each IPP, each PPA or a government, there is a way they tax their energy.
Yeah. That we get. You see, the moment you bring in formula,
yes,
you are telling us that there is an understood system by which you arrive at this taxation, isn't it?
Yes.
But the variables you keep talking about seems to be shifting. So that would lend credence and say, okay, if you have a formula, then even if they keep shifting,
yes,
the formula brings about consistency. Okay, now, what is this formula exactly?
That formula is there, is gazetted number 1. The variables for the inputs to that formula are also gazetted every month. So it is the problem of the people who are supposed to confirm to check whether it is being followed. But it isn't followed because I have done that personally as the Consumer Watch. We have done that.
Wait,
you want to ask something?
It is the problem of the people, like we the people.
Yes, because
to check.
To check and keep the government on check. Even our parliamentarians, like for example, the Energy Committee led by Vincent Monsioka, we went and presented those formulas and so many slides that were adding up to about 60 slides. Media was there covering. They never mentioned that in the news. They never even came back to say, only a few MPs that told us, oh, that was a brilliant job. Is that how we are being stolen? So you can understand those are the people who we are expecting to assist us, but they are also worried. So we told them, but they didn't use that information beyond that. I would expect they would use it if they call me again and say, please give this in a write-up so that we can publish it. And that is why I'm saying they also knew And they went to ask, but when they asked, they were maybe told by the CS or anybody that please, that is a hot cake, but please don't touch there because that is the only place we can adjust from 1 billion to 5 billion and consumers will never know. So right now, they reduced that cost.
Time. Sorry.
Isaac. Yes.
No.
You just said that essentially this is the only place where we can get an extra few shillings and nobody's going to ask questions.
Yes.
Or essentially nobody is going to be bothered enough to do the work to go and find out whether this. So that's the place.
Only Ndereva, and we are not going to cover him.
Are you sure of this?
I am sure of that.
But you know something?
I am sure of that.
If you think about it, everything about what Isaac is saying seems to have been constructed, I'm using the word deliberately, to ensure that it sounds so complicated that
nobody
you
wants
just
to touch
get
it.
exhausted.
Okay.
But even what I was driving at, you see, they brought it to 11 point something. Now they increase the cost of power. They brought the cost of those three components from a total of 11.31 to 5.71.
I mean, they brought it down.
They brought it down. If you look at the production using thermos, it did not change much. In fact, it's more or less the same. So you ask them, how did the formula give you these figures for you to reduce it by a half?
Voodoo.
You see, so now so nobody is asking. But then you also need to ask. Let me come closer home. The dollar, the forex changed from 0.84. Which month is that? Let me check. 0.84 in May. In June. It came to 2.06. You see, that is more than 2 times.
Yes.
Did you hear like the dollar came from 140 to 280 or something?
No, please.
No.
So then ask them, how is this coming around? And you see, that is an extra 1 billion also
Isaac,
on forex.
Just clarify this.
Yes.
So when the dollar rates change they change the way they change. But when they change in terms of calculating these things of electricity, you're saying
they change differently.
They can double.
They change differently.
So they don't change with the dollar rate the way it is changing.
That is how the formula dictates.
No, the market rate seems to have no influence on this configuration.
Yes.
You know, this
example,
formula is now becoming problematic. You know, in school, where when you were learning about the mole concept, it had a formula.
Yes.
Hata pale kwa hesabu, when you were doing those mathematics of high school, they had a formula. They tell you the pi of this and this, the square root of, it's constant. But then the way this formula of ours is sounding, it's like it changes. Ni kama ni recipe. See formula.
It's a recipe. Just for example, now
you can adjust a recipe.
I bring you back home again. Now, in March of 2023, the forex charge was 2.16. Kenya shillings per kilowatt hour. No. Now it came to 0.96. Did the dollar change to 70 shillings?
No, it didn't. But the point is, it appears. I think you answered the question. You said that when I asked, you said boardroom decision.
It's a boardroom decision
because somehow the market rate, the market indicators of the exchange rate between the dollar and the shilling, doesn't feature here.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Even the production using diesel doesn't feature here.
Okay, Isaac.
Yes.
Who are the individuals or group of people who make this decision? Who sits in this boardroom? That a decision can be made that this month we shall apply a forex of 2.09, or next month we shall apply one of 0.9, or the month after that we shall do one of 0.84. Who sits in this room that decides this is how it's? Because what seems clear now is that every month there's some billions that are made just by adjusting some numbers. Where those billions go, we don't know, but we know that you've paid your bill, and that's why you can see the fluctuation in your bill. But very importantly, who is making this decision about how the formula will be applied month on month?
Okay, now we know there is the only person we can tag this issue to is EPRA. But we know EPRA, we pay EPRA as consumers. And I'm not sure whether they are paid by the power producers. We pay EPRA, let me start there, for them to protect us. But now you see, they are the same people who gazette these values. Because if you ask Kenya Power, they will say, we are not responsible for gazetting those values. We are not even responsible for following up where that money goes. And that's why I say, you always crucify Kenya Power wrongly. Because Kenya Power have got their own money, and they are going to pay the REP, the RELEC, they are going to pay Ketraco, and their own operation maintenance and the purchase power. And that money, you have tied it for the next 3 years. Now, what I ask and what they keep on saying, after we agreed that, there's another 50% of the bill that we are not responsible for. And you cannot ask us where this money goes. So Kenya Power are not to be blamed on that fuel cost. The only sole people to blame is EPRA. And EPRA will say, this is what came, because I am sure that comes from the CS, that probably, I would say, I don't know which state, but I would say State House maybe has said, can we get another 3 billion from power?
Isaac,
and this is what to adjust.
Isaac?
Yes.
EPRA sits in a room every month, because we know.
We
know that for fuel prices,
yes.
we know on the 14th,
yes.
like today,
yes.
we will be told,
yes.
wake up tomorrow morning and we'll be told, okay, either your fuel prices have gone down,
yes.
they've gone up,
yes.
or we've maintained, right? We know that.
Yes.
So are you saying then, with power prices,
yes.
when it comes to adjusting of forex, adjusting of all those many things, yes. FFI, etc., etc.
Inflation.
Do they also sit in a room and discuss so that we know on the 21st of each month we know, and this is the formula that they're applying? Are you saying it is them who are sitting in a room making this decision as well?
It is them who comes there. It's a director general who signs that gazettement every month. By the way, you keep on missing that gazettement every month. They have to gazette the cost of fuel to Lodwa, to Kipevu, they will give you the cost of that fuel.
Yes.
And the worst thing that I keep on crying for the Kenyans, you remember that cost? The one in the formula that is known as C. It's CI, the cost of fuel. Mm-hmm. If it is 250 shillings, because it's normally very expensive, and remember there is heavy fuel oil, it's maybe 260 shillings. It is inclusive of VAT, right? Mm-hmm. Why is it that when they come to the bills, they still tax VAT again on our bills? You see, that is another problem.
So that's double taxation.
That is double taxation. And in fact, there is a time they were taxing inflation and forex. As in, I assist you to go and be able to manage to get dollars. You still want VAT from the same. We made noise here in January of 2022, and they stopped taxing forex and VAT. Now, the only challenge they are taxing that now is that they are taxing fuel costs. And we know already, we have already been taxed during that formula. The CI is inclusive of VAT. But now, even if you tell the MPs, do they even know what components are in the bill? We have tried to do that, and they will not have a lot of our time. And even if they do have that little time, and remember, they are doing an inquiry that is really important. But I have always told them, as far as you are going there without data, what are you going to? You call a Kenya Power MD, then you start asking them, who are the owners of this IPP? Is Kenya Power supposed to be bothered with that, or their operation maintenance? And remember, there is one thing that I also told MPs that they are going around, and they are not going to. They call IPPs. We have 26 IPPs in this country.
Those are the independent power producers.
Independent power producers.
Okay.
But you see, the independent power producers we have a problem with are not Gakira and the Malindi Solar. Those are not the people we have a problem with. We have a problem with 6 independent power producers that are using diesel, because that is the formula that is killing us. Now, call them. Don't call everybody else, because you will come and ask them who is the owner of this. That is not important. Tell them, this is fuel cost that your IPPs are charging us. Call others, you tell them, you are gas power, yes. Your contribution to the grid is 2%. And we are paying you capacity charge for you being idle. And we know Rabai and Kipevu 3 are giving us more than 70% on the thermal contribution in this country. All these others should leave, or we find, because MPs are the lawmakers, isn't it?
Yes,
whatever they will say, they cannot say that we have hidden contracts and all that. They will just say, we have decided that these people are parasites in our billing. First of all, we get them out, because they are the people who make the manipulation of the fuel cost being done, because either they are paid and then they have to refund money to the cartels, or even when you are paying that fuel and their cost, you have to pay in foreign currency. And remember, 2% is normally taken by Kenya Power.
Yes.
And 2%. Then the other 96% is taken by IPPs. Now, as I was saying, there is no need of calling Or Power, who is an IPP, for geothermal, because you don't have a problem with that person. You don't have an issue with that cost. You don't need to keep on calling other people who are doing solar or whatever else. Call these people. And the 6 people, I'm calling them 6 because I realized when I was in the parliament that there is one who doesn't want to disappear. Savo Power or Kipevu 2 were decommissioned in September of 2021. Now, I had them together with us. They were trying to defend on how they are not going to demolish that plant. Now, and I was looking at them really, and they were saying it's going to be cheaper now. We have already paid because it is not really important how much they are selling a kilowatt to us. Maybe even 4 shillings. But remember, the fuel cost is where 45 shillings is going through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
So we need to decommission them completely.
Okay. Isaac, tomorrow,
yes,
engineer Dr. Joseph Siror will be here in the studio.
Oh, okay.
He is the managing director and CEO of Kenya Power.
Okay.
So, of course, we have some questions that we'd like to ask him. What would a power bill look like today? Now, this is a question I'm asking you, Isaac. Yes. What would a power bill look like today if these individuals that you speak of, these organizations are decommissioned, right?
Yes.
If their activity no longer exists,
yes,
what would a bill then look like? Because what you're saying is that they're taking the lion's share of these payments, yes?
Yes.
For doing minimal to no activity, or using an extremely expensive source to then generate, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if their existence were to be altered or removed, replaced with those who are actually using a more manageable power source, or then for whose payments you actually see and they're made transparent, what would that translate to then in the bills that we see on a monthly?
Currently today, I look at the lifeline below that. Those people, let me use your example because I think it is better when you are able to calculate for yourself. Yeah. The money that goes to Kenya Power for your tariff is 20.97. The VAT that they want to charge on that is going to be around 4 shillings. So it's going to be 24 shillings. Now that you'll have gotten rid of fuel cost charge, forex, because you are using forex to pay those IPPs who are paid in dollars. And then inflation, such things. And then WARMA, this WER, WALMA, EPRA, and RP. That is not a lot of money because that is only 3% of the bill. But if you look at fuel cost and the forex and inflation, that is 45% of your bill. So we need to kick out those people. So that we can move from 32 shillings, we come to 24 shillings. That is how it's going to look like. But unfortunate bit is that when Engineer Sirol comes here tomorrow, he's my very good friend that we are supposed to have a meeting on the same. Now, the only challenge that you will face is if you ask him anything else other than consumption cost. He will not tell you anything else. He can't tell you about fuel cost charge. He can't tell you about forex. He can't because that is a pass-through. He's told, collect this on our behalf and give us. He doesn't even touch. So if you are going to ask him anything, ask him about the consumption. And that is why I always say, it is not Kenya Power. Actually, Kenya Power has been painted to look like they are the bad people. But they are not, and we have been in a discussion with them. It is this, like now, the way we gazetted the costs in April. Has Kenya Power changed their costs? No, they haven't. What is changing is the fuel cost charge, the inflation, and forex. Now, I heard now Warma wants to change the cost from 0.02 shillings per kilowatt hour to 2 shillings per kilowatt hour.
All the people, Warma, EPRA, okay, Kenya Power is not involved.
It's not involved.
Okay, so who is involved?
It's the ministry. It's the minister and the EPRA. You know, EPRA is a mouthpiece of the ministry. So when Davis Chirchir says, Mr. President requires this money or whatever other, I don't know how it goes around. But I know it's an instruction delivered to Daniel Kiptoo because he's the same one who's being taken to court because of increasing the cost of VAT in the fuel when it had been blocked. You think it is him who sat here and said, no, we have to put that.
Actually, we don't know.
Yeah. So most likely someone tells him, this is what you need to do. And even if you wait now, he's not going to be taken anywhere because the forces that told him you have to adjust even before these people complain, they are the same forces who will tell the courts, please, you realize even we had a very good justice, Mugore Thande, who is handling our case because we went to court.
Yes.
She was handling our case. She has been taken to Malindi simply because she suspended the finance bill or something.
We don't know if that's the case.
So the next one who will come, of course,
I think it's necessary. We don't know if that's the reason why she was moved to
Malindi. Judges are transferred from time to time.
So you think it is a natural?
And they take an oath of office to serve anywhere at any time.
Okay, anything can be the case.
Yes.
But we do not know unequivocally that was the reason as to why that was done. Okay. All right? The power conversation is one. It's highly emotive. We know that we are paying out of our pockets on a daily basis and becoming more and more difficult. It's necessary to have these explanations on a regular, Isaac, and I'm very appreciative because you do that well. for us. Couched, in fact, also very necessary to have.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.